These vlogs are really starting to add up for me, are really leading me into some new ideas and some new experiments for my spiritual life. And I want to share them and kind of present them to you for your own enjoyment or perhaps to spark your curiosity. We were looking a couple of weeks ago at the idea of those circles, the spirit, Satchitananda, that unchanging absolute bliss, absolute intelligence, absolute existence, and how all desires of the mind, which is a little less subtle than spirit, are manifestations of those qualities, those three qualities, that love, that existence, that intelligence, but through the mental sphere, through emotions, through desires at the mental level. And then at the body level, if you remember, we talked about the body also is trying to express that Satchitananda, or trying to capture that Satchitananda through the realm of the body, through its desires and its actions. And kind of really trying to go through my own experiences during the day whenever I have a desire or have notions or a wave rises up in the mind. I always try and catch myself and try and categorize it. Is that coming from body or is that coming from mind? And in what way is it describing Satchitananda, that bliss, that intelligence, that existence of the spirit? And it got me looking at beauty, which is why we put that video together, looking at beautiful things to think of God, how we see that beauty in things around us. And then in people, in each other, we did that video of the children, and looking into their eyes and seeing that innocence and that sweetness and that earnestness and that sincerity, all qualities again of that Satchitananda. And as I began experimenting with this and looking into it, I realized who's doing much of this experimentation these days. And it's actually the artists, the modern artists. And I'm a big enjoyer of art, and I find it to be very interesting, some of the investigations and studies that artists do. And the one that caught my mind just this week was an artist called Sol LeWitt. He did a majority of his work in the 60s and 70s, but he continued on working all the way until when he passed away. And he was studying the nature of art. Vivekananda said that all art is an expression of an ideal, of an idea. And so Saul was looking at that same thing, and he was thinking maybe it's the idea that is the art and not the product as art. And so he was writing down instructions for creating art and then getting other artists to actually execute the instructions. And so he did that and initially was selling those descriptions as the work of art. I thought that was a fascinating idea. And then later on, he decided that no, maybe the product is the piece of art. So he would write the instructions, he'd give it to a group of friendly artists, and they would follow the instructions and create these beautiful paintings based on his description. They were called, he called it his wall art project. And in the Museum of Modern Art up in New York, you can see an example of quite a few of them. But why is that spiritual? How is that spiritual, aside from the fact of taking art, the gross manifestation, and going one step more subtle to the idea? I was thinking in terms of my life. What are the instructions that I'm manifesting as art in my life? And I was looking at the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the Bhagavad Gita, the different teachings of the Upanishads. Those are my instructions. Those are the work of the artist, who's creating this piece of work. I'm the vehicle for the manifestation of that piece of art. So just like in Sol LeWitt's world, I'm taking instructions from the actual artists, from the great saints, from the great seers, from the incarnations, and then I'm applying them to my life. And my life, your life, our life is the work of art, is the manifestation, the execution on the gross plane of the final product, which is the beauty manifested from the instructions, from the idea of the master. So I wanted to leave you with that. Take your life this week, choose your instructions, and turn your life into conscious art, a manifestation of your spirit, of those values of love, intelligence, and existence.